I am Susan, and I have seen 61 years unfold. For almost 7 years I've dwelled in this hushed abode in Northern Virginia. My children have spread their wings, each finding their own path on distant shores, and I've embraced the tranquility, the quietude, the soothing cadence of mornings filled with tea, and evenings lost in the pages of a book. I believed I had found my peace. Perhaps I was. Until the shadows of last weekend. The rain fell softly as he made his entrance, Michael a shadow from my late husband's past, a connection woven through time. It had been more than 10 years since our paths last crossed. We exchanged fleeting connections, holiday greetings, and the rare birthday note, yet nothing ventured into the depths of intimacy. When he reached out, mentioning his drive through Virginia and suggesting we reconnect, I found myself saying yes, almost instinctively. I suggested we rendezvous at a local coffee shop, but he caught me off guard by requesting to spend the night, claiming that every hotel in the vicinity was fully booked because of a wine festival. With a moment's pause, I ultimately succumbed to the allure. The guest room was immaculate, and he was someone from my past. It seemed pure at first glance. As he stepped into the scene, the rain cascaded down in a relentless torrent. I opened the door, and there he stood, aged yet alluring silver, threading through his beard. But that same effortless smile lingered on his lips. He entered with his overnight bag, carrying the intoxicating aroma of fresh rain that lingered in the air. We lingered in the foyer, exchanging hesitant pleasantries, the air thick with unspoken tension, before we slipped into the kitchen's embrace. I brewed a potion of warmth. He poured a splash of whiskey into his glass, the amber liquid swirling like secrets waiting to be unveiled. We lingered for hours, perched at the kitchen island, secrets swirling in the air. Conversations about my children, his newfound freedom, the adventures he's embarked upon. It had been ages since I experienced a dialogue so unhurried, so aimless, where memories danced freely, laughter lingered softly, and silences spoke volumes. In a fleeting moment, he leaned over the counter, his fingers brushing against my skin as he tucked a wayward strand of hair behind my ear. I remained still, my gaze fixed on him, neither retreating nor offering a reply. The moment slipped away, unspoken between us. At around 11, I pushed him into the guest room. It's an intimate setting, fresh fabrics, a soft glow from a reading lamp, and a window that opens to the secrets of the backyard. He expressed his gratitude with a smile that held a hint of something more lingering, just a moment longer than necessary. I whispered my good night, gently shutting the door to my sanctuary, lingering for a heartbeat, hand resting on the knob, my heart alive with unspoken secrets. Something stirred within me at the stroke of midnight. Perhaps it was the breeze caressing the branches, or the unsettling aura of another soul lingering within the walls. I extended my hand toward the glass of water resting on my bedside, but suddenly I hesitated. Soft footsteps echoed in the hallway, measured and intentional, neither rushed nor furtive. I slipped from the sheets and eased the door open, careful not to make a sound. The corridor was shrouded in shadows, illuminated only by the soft glow seeping from beneath the door of the guest room. Yet the source was not a mere lamp. It danced in the shadows. Soft glow. My heart raced with a thrilling intensity. I glided toward the door and softly eased it open. Michael perched on the bed's edge, the flickering flame of a solitary candle casting shadows that danced in the dim light. He glanced my way, surprise flickering in his eyes, before a gentle warmth took over. Rest eluded him, he confessed. Countless secrets swirl in my mind. I crossed the threshold, questioning the choice that led me away from the comfort of my dreams. "Are you feeling all right?" I inquired, my voice barely a murmur. He nodded, enveloped in the familiar shadows of this place once more. Within these walls, echoes of him linger, of your enchanting laughter, of the sensations that once enveloped us. I kept my silence. I lingered in the dim light, the flickering flame weaving secrets in the shadows that danced upon the walls and traced his features. My apologies if I overstepped. He murmured, his gaze cast downward. "With your tresses." I never intended to stir any unease within you. I moved in drawn by an unspoken tension. I did not, I responded. He lifted his gaze. In that moment, a hidden truth flickered within his gaze. Fatigue lingers, yet there's an underlying softness that beckons. Exposed, intimate, and I understood poised in my worn robe, with my silver-threaded hair, and my bare feet against the polished wood. I felt no fear, I was certain. I found myself lost in uncertainty, unsure of what the next chapter would reveal. In that moment, his fingers brushed against mine, igniting a spark that lingered in the air, and all my perceptions of solitude began to unravel. I kept my hand right where it was. In that fleeting silence, words hung heavy in the air between us. His thumb lingered softly on the back of my hand, a warm and unwavering caress that sent shivers through the air. The candle danced in the space between us, its warm amber light creating an ethereal atmosphere that seemed to suspend reality itself. In that instant, time ceased to exist, leaving only the soft sighs shared between us and the electric pulse of secrets lingering in the air. I settled next to him at the brink of the bed. It's peculiar, I murmured, my voice a mere breath against the backdrop of the rain, how swiftly quietude can transform into a companion. Michael's smile lingered, a silent promise held in his gaze. It doesn't surprise me, he murmured. Some silences carry a weight that feels deserved. We lingered in that moment, our fingers almost brushing against each other. His presence enveloped me, a familiar heaviness that stirred a longing I hadn't recognized until it settled beside me. I had become familiar with the haunting rhythm of my own steps, the intimate ceremonies of solitude. But now I was attuned to the subtle nuances, like the velvety quality of his voice, or the way he edged closer, hanging on every word I spoke. He shattered the stillness. Susan, I arrived with no expectations, I promise. Yet being in your presence once more awakened emotions I never anticipated. I breathed out softly, lost in a haze of uncertainty about my emotions. My gaze fell upon our intertwined fingers, a silent bond lingering between us. I find myself equally uncertain about my expectations. Yet amidst the shadows of uncertainty, there's an undeniable thrill in the air. He inclined his head, a silent agreement hanging in the air. Absolutely not. Our lips never met. We remained distant, caught in a web of unspoken desires. Instead, we exchanged secrets. For what feels like an eternity. He shared the story of his divorce from a decade past, describing it as a hushed affair, devoid of drama, where affection simply slipped away into the shadows, much like a forgotten melody. He spoke of his longings, the words left unspoken, the way he occasionally yearned for the man he once was, filled with grand aspirations. I shared with him the early days following Robert's departure, how the house loomed large and empty, and how I found myself drifting to one side of the bed, a routine born from longing. I confided in him my deepest anxieties. The creeping dread of time slipping away, the sensation of fading into the background of existence, and the haunting thought that perhaps I had already experienced my final fresh start. He absorbed every word, as if it were a secret meant only for him. In the space where secrets linger and unspoken desires dance, we found ourselves once more on the bed, leaning against the headboard, our shoulders brushing softly against one another. There was an intoxicating calmness between us, a simmering heat beneath the surface. In a fleeting moment, I tilted my head against his shoulder, feeling the gentle brush of his cheek against my hair. I shut my eyes, surrendering to the shadows that danced behind my eyelids. In that instant, solitude faded away. I felt like a shadow searching for a light that had long since faded. I found myself enveloped in the moment, cocooned in a sense of security, and unexpectedly vibrant. In the end, silence enveloped us not from fatigue, but from a deep sense of ease. I rose deliberately, and he trailed behind, guiding me into the dimly lit corridor. Just as I was about to retreat to my sanctuary, his fingers brushed against mine once more. "Thank you for allowing me to cross your threshold tonight," he said, and I sensed he was referring to more than just the physical space. I caressed his hand softly, offered a coy smile, and glided back to the bed. That night, after so long, I found myself drifting into slumber, free from the familiar ache of solitude. I drifted into slumber captivated by the way his voice caressed my name, like a secret shared in the dark. The following morning, soft rays of sunlight danced through the kitchen window, caressing the countertop where 2 mugs lingered, remnants of the previous night's secrets. I lingered by the stove, anticipation simmering, as the kettle remained silent, cocooned in a cozy sweater and my swirling thoughts. The stillness of dawn carried a new weight, charged with unspoken promises and hidden truths. Michael strolled in his hair, still glistening from the shower, clad in a casual grey t-shirt and jeans that hinted at something more beneath the surface. In the gentle glow, he appeared almost ageless, a secret wrapped in shadows. Or perhaps it was the seductive curve of his smile. As our gazes intertwined, it wafted through the air, a rich aroma. He murmured his voice gravelly, from dreams unspooled. "Tea," I murmured, letting the steam rise as I poured hot water into 2 mugs, though I could easily brew something else if that's what you desired. He lowered his gaze and settled into the shadows of the kitchen table. "The tea is exquisite." The silence lingered, yet it held a certain allure. We lingered in silence, both haunted by the echoes of the previous night, yet neither daring to break the stillness with a word. The echo of the dimly lit chamber hung in the air, a silent agreement woven into the fabric of our connection. I settled into my seat opposite him, my fingers wrapped around the warmth of my mug. "Did you find rest in the shadows of the night?" I inquired gently. He offered a subtle smile, and I found myself unbothered by the late hour. I kept that thought to myself, hidden beneath layers of unspoken truths. We lingered in the morning light, as if the shadows of the night had faded away, exchanging soft words about melodies, the flutter of wings outside, and a cherished film that danced in our memories. Yet beneath the surface, an intimacy lingered in the way our words danced between us. Each glance carried an unspoken depth. Each word seemed to carry a deeper significance. At midday, he proposed to assist with tidying the garden patio, a pretext maybe to linger just a bit more. I surrendered to the allure. We lost ourselves in an hour of rustling leaves polishing the glass table and sharing laughter over a relentless wasp that clung to Michael like a secret. There was a moment when I found myself captivated by his every move. The way he glided, the way he lingered to appreciate a petal, the way his grin danced when he believed I was unseen. And then he glanced up, his eyes locking onto mine as I was lost in thought. "Susan." He murmured, his fingers grazing the fabric of his jeans. "There's something I must inquire about." I felt a shiver run through me. My heart began to pound fiercely within my chest. "Would it be unusual," he pressed on, "if I confess that I'm not ready to part ways? Just now?" I gazed at him for a fleeting moment before responding. "Absolutely not," I insisted. It would be entirely expected. He moved in, inch by inch, with a reverence that sent shivers down my spine, and sought my hand once more. I find myself lost in the mystery of this moment, unsure of its destination. Yet being with you ignites a desire to unravel its secrets, in your presence. His words flowed effortlessly, wrapped in a veil of unspoken truths. I nodded, and we lingered in that moment, his fingers entwined with mine, the sultry air caressing our skin. As the afternoon light dimmed, we sank into the living room couch, our fingers tracing the edges of an old photo album, its pages untouched for far too long. Images of Robert, our children, and moments from our youth. An intoxicating surge of feeling washed over me, yet it was anything but tormenting. It resonated with a primal essence. Michael's hand rested on my back, a mere presence, neither to soothe nor to mend, but simply to exist in the moment. It anchored my very being. I gazed at him, a smile playing on my lips, my vision blurred with unspoken emotions. "This dwelling has harbored countless secrets," I murmured. "Desire, deception secrets in every breath. I never imagined there could be space for something unexpected. There always is. He murmured, his voice barely rising above a breath. At times we must dare to unlock the threshold once more. And in that moment, an undeniable truth settled within me. I had. As twilight descended, we lingered on the porch, the sun's fading light draping the lawn in a warm, seductive glow. The air grew tender. The song of the birds faded, and the embrace of dusk enveloped us in its secretive allure. I poured 2 glasses of wine, one deep crimson, the other a pale shimmer. He flashed a knowing smile as I passed him his drink, and we gently clinked our glasses in silence. The hush held a new weight. It wasn't about the void, it was about the allure. Ours entwined a connection that defied the need for words. I once found myself in solitude watching the sun dip below the horizon, my voice barely a whisper as I gazed beyond the trees. At times I found myself conversing with Robert silently, deep within my thoughts. I pressed my heart. I would share the secrets of the day, the allure of the garden, and the moments I longed for him to experience with me. Michael cast a glance my way, his eyes radiating warmth and unwavering intensity. Do you remember there were moments when I acquiesced, though those instances have grown rare as of late? He didn't push, merely took my hand and enveloped it in his grasp. I prefer to take my time with this, he murmured after a moment, and I don't seek immediate responses. But I want you to understand I've experienced a sense of authenticity these past 2 days that has eluded me for years. I faced him, probing his expression for any flicker of uncertainty, any hint of disbelief. I discovered nothing. You don't make me feel any younger, Michael, I said, a subtle smile playing on my lips. You awakened something deep within me, a sensation I didn't know I longed for until now. He drew closer, deliberately, allowing me ample opportunity to retreat. I did not. Our lips brushed softly, devoid of haste. No grand displays, just a tender, sincere bond that unfolded into something subtly exquisite. It was a fleeting touch, heavy with unspoken secrets. It was a message that whispered, I recognize your presence. I have arrived. As we separated, his forehead brushed softly against mine, and a quiet laughter escaped us both. A laugh that unearths buried secrets and beckons the allure of fresh beginnings. As the night deepened and the stars began to twinkle in the velvety darkness, we retreated indoors. I extended the invitation to the guest room once more, yet an unvoiced tension lingered in the air between us. Not merely an expectation, but a tantalizing inquiry, a seductive chance lingering in the air. He lingered in the dimly lit hallway, his gaze flickering between the door to the guest room and me, a tension hanging in the air. Where do you desire my presence this evening? He inquired with a gentle murmur. I paused before responding, not from doubt, but from a deep respect for the significance of the moment. Join me, I beckoned. That night we savored every moment. We shared not only our garments, but also the weight of years filled with trepidation, doubt, and solitude. Our conversations deepened, our embraces lingered, and we shared a slumber that spoke volumes of our trust. I embraced the shadows that dance around me now. As dawn broke, he prepared a simple yet intimate meal, the eggs softly scrambled and the toast perfectly golden. I lingered in the shadows of the doorway, clad in my robe, contemplating the unexpected turn of events at this stage of my life. Yet perhaps that was precisely the allure of it all. Desire dances to its own rhythm. At times it lingers in the shadows. At others it returns unexpectedly. And occasionally it arrives amidst a tempest, seeking refuge for the night and transforming everything in its wake. He departed 2 days later, yet not without a scheme to come back. We left it nameless, this intricate web we wove. We simply vowed never to shut the door once more, and I still haven't. Not for him, not for my own ears. Never again.